What's up, guys? This is SanchoWest, and welcome to the CheckPoint Amigos show, where we break down all the nerdy news you need in your nerdy lives. And I say we, the royal we, you and me. We go through all the news from video games, movies, sports, and the WWE wrestling in my faces and heels portion, where it is essentially everything that I find interesting that happened in the week. And we have basically we have a big topic, and then we have the weekly checkpoint, and then we have things that I'm going to recommend to you, or things that I'm letting you know that are coming down the pipeline and what's upcoming. So we got it's a very light news today. I'm just going to be honest with you. I did my best to keep up to date with all the news stories and whatnot. I've been streaming heavily on my Twitch account, twitch.tv/SanchoWest, trying to grind, just trying to just push me up another level. So I appreciate all you guys' support. And speaking of support, people at patreon.com/SanchoWest. If you're listening to this right now, you got early access to the podcast. And if you like to join along and get the podcast early, $1 is all it takes. You can go ahead and visit patreon.com/SanchoWest. Give $1, get the podcast early, both on audio on SoundCloud.com and on iTunes. And as well, you can get it early as a video podcast on a YouTube link. Let's just put this out there. Let's go ahead and jump right into the big topic. And this is an idea that I've been having since Battle Royales are all over the place. I want to go ahead and I want to cash in on a Battle Royale idea. Now, I don't know how to make video games or anything like that, but I'm just going to throw this out there into the universe. You know how sometimes you have an idea and someone else all the way across the world has an idea, and before you know it, someone else is making a lot of money on your idea. So I'm just going to put that out there in the universe because I really want to play this type of game, especially in the Battle Royale. You ever seen the movie Mean Guns? Anyone? Anyone out there who's listening or watching right now? Anyone watch the movie Mean Guns starring Ice-T and Christopher Lambert? Now, the whole point of this movie is essentially there's this crime syndicate run by Ice-T that gathers all the people that did them wrong in the syndicate in this big prison that they just built. Now, the whole point of this movie is to get rid of all the people that did this crime syndicate wrong, but at the same time, having an interesting contest. So essentially, Ice-T hides $10 million or something like a real absorbent amount, millions of dollars in this huge prison. And what all these people gathered around, like 100 people or so are gathered around. They don't have weapons or anything like that. They're captured and thrown in this prison. And what Ice-T does is they dump a whole bunch of weapons, guns, melee weapons, knives, all on this bottom floor. And there's this mad scramble for weapons. And then eventually, like, multiple tiers, multiple levels. And I don't want to ruin the movie for you, because if you want to watch it, it's a really 90s premise, and if you want to have a good laugh, you need to watch the trailer for it. But this is what I think I want to see in the Battle Royale prison game based on the movie Mean Guns. They need to have I like these I'm tired of running through endless circles and whatnot. Let's make a big grid, like a big tower, like in Dread, right? A big mega city tower block. And all of a sudden, you have all these people scrambling looking for this $10 million briefcase. So it's not about escaping storms or anything like that. It's about locating this briefcase that could be anywhere on these floors. And what you're going to do is you're going to have to eliminate as many people as possible. But like in the movie, what ends up happening is there is a time limit. And as the time limit progresses, he releases these people, these super soldiers, to go kill the people that are playing in the game. So that's what this game's going to happen, right? So you have a time limit to find the briefcase. You don't find the briefcase, you're going to get, or you don't kill, you're going to get eliminated by these killer NPCs. And then what I was thinking, that instead of like the storms, it eliminates floors, so people can't be camping in certain floors. So it starts off just like the movie. There's a mad dash in the middle, right? All the guns and melee weapons and knives are thrown in the right smack dab middle, just like in Hunger Games, right? And all of a sudden you have this mad dash scramble for anything is possible. And then scattered throughout the entire the building or the tower is you have a whole bunch of weapons scattered about, right? It's just little loot crates and all those kind of fun little things. I just think the genre has plenty of room to go for Battle Royales. I honestly do. I honestly believe it's here to stay. I said this in a previous podcast, that a lot of people have this notion that it's just a fad, and a lot of people just dislike it, but it's really honestly here to stay. I keep hearing news of more Battle Royales coming down the pipe, and I think that you could explore different environments. That would be quite interesting, to have different environments to explore rather than these vast landscapes. Something really close, very intimate, very visceral, And I think that tower would be awesome. There's also like a different battle royale that I stumbled upon while I was watching Mr. Grimm's play. He's a Twitch streamer. And there is a Tencent, which is this big Chinese video game company developer, made this game called Ring of Elysium. And Ring of Elysium is only available, it's this weird way of getting it. You have to download this certain game launcher, and you have to put the region in Thailand, because this game's only available in Thailand. But it's a very polished looking PlayerUnknown Battleground. It's very nice looking, and you have to do this all kind of VPN loops and whatnot. It's free to play, but it looks very good, and it looks very optimized, because this company, Tencent, does own Bluehole, which was the studios that was responsible for PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Now, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds has his own developer moniker, PUBG Inc. But anyway, that's what my idea for it. This is a big topic. I'm interested to hear your ideas for a battle royale. Make it different, make it unique. Who knows? There's a lot coming out there. A lot of people are sticking their name in the hats for the battle royale. There's a big rush to capture this phenomenon of the battle royale. I've been playing Radical Heights. Radical Heights is a really good game. My computer can't really run it that well. It's poorly optimized. Considering my computer's power, it's running like at 60 frames per second when like everything's attention to it. Other big streamers who are streaming it get it like at 90 frames per second along with their stream. But regardless, it's really fun, and I enjoyed the style of it, and I enjoy the mid game of it, because battle royales always have to solve the mid game, and this one allows you to collect cash and whatnot. So I guess the big topic is battle royales in general. It's continuing to be on the mind of many gamers out there, and it's continuing to grow, and it's continuing to see the success. And like I said, you're going to see a lot of developers doing that. Now, I wonder if the battle royale, like Fortnite, is stickiness is wearing off. Recently, I've been streaming a lot of Fortnite. There's been a couple of times where I'm like, you know what? I've been playing Fortnite for 5 hours. I need a break. So, I wonder if that's slowly beginning to fade. I wonder what Epic Games can do to continue to get people addicted to it. I'm sure with new skins, with new maps, with this whole meteorite about to hit Tilted Towers, who knows? But I'm all over the place with this big topic, because I was trying to find something to get my teeth into for this podcast, and I didn't really see anything. It's kind of like a lull, because everything is just waiting for God of War, and we'll get a little bit into that. I was hoping to get God of War early. Was unable to get an early copy of it for review purposes, because it would have been very nice to have this for now. But in future podcasts, we'll do a God of War review, and of course Avengers Infinity War. So like everything is just in waiting for those big things that are coming down the pipe. So that's gonna wrap up the big topic. Mean Guns Battle Royale. We need it. A big tower prison battle royale, intimate craziness. If you guys watch Mean Guns, the movie, let me know what you think about it. If you don't want to commit to the whole hour, at least watch the trailer. I'll put it in the description. It has some very bad comical music for it, considering how violent the movie is itself. But let's go ahead and get to the weekly checkpoint. There's a lot to talk about in there. Here, first story coming from Kotaku. Well, this is the biggest story in terms of video games and stuff like that. Billy Mitchell, for those of you who don't know, The King of Con was this awesome documentary regarding the world record for the biggest score in Donkey Kong. And you had Billy Mitchell, who was set up as the heel in this movie, and he's had the record since 2010. But recently, there's a whole bunch of people were coming out with a lot of the subreddit was coming out with a lot of evidence saying that he basically got the record in an emulation, and that is not against the rules. And so basically there's a lot of splicing. There's a lot of controversy that Billy Mitchell altered his score, that he changed the RAM chips to be able to get a certain score of destroying blue barrels. But let's go ahead and get to the article itself. Controversial arcade game player Billy Mitchell released a statement today. So this was his response. So what ended up happening was Guinness Book of Records, Twin Galaxies, which is the holy grail of all like top scores and whatnot, basically erased Billy Mitchell. They wiped his existence off the entire record books for all these controversies surrounding him. And then Guinness Book of Records took down his records as well. So Billy Mitchell's legacy is pretty much gone at this point. And so he released this statement. He says, speaking to Old School Gamer magazine, I've been asked to address things that are recently in the media. The fact of the matter is now that there's a true professional due diligence being done to investigate things that happened as far as 35 years ago. In a professional manner, not in a shot jock mentality designed to create this, we will show that everything has been done professionally. According to the rules, according to the scoreboard, the integrity was to set up not 2014 forward by the current regime, who wants to reach back 35 years. Everything will be transparent. Everything will be available. I wish I had my hands in it right now. I wish I could hand it to you, but it's taking a considerable amount of time. Witnesses, documents, everything will be made available to you. Nothing will be withheld. You absolutely have my commitment to that. We've been at this since 1982, and it's not going to stop now, end quote. So Billy Mitchell is doing his best to retain everything. The thing is that most of his evidence is witness statements for other controversial players. So I feel legacy is a strong thing, right? You know, you had Hulk Hogan's entire WWE wrestling legacy erased after those controversial statements he made in that video. And now you have Billy Mitchell here, the same thing. You live your entire life. You're known for one thing. You've been sitting on top of this pedestal. And when that pedestal knocks down, what is left in your life? And so it's really hard. I don't dislike, you know, who knows, right? I always say, who knows, always give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't like to judge people because I believe that there's always in judgment, so to speak, the final judgment and whatnot. He knows in his heart what he did. But the bottom line is it's kind of a bummer to see someone build a legacy if he did on a shaky foundation or a shady foundation. And now to have everything ripped away that you've been known for, this is who you are. It's just a bummer. It's just a complete bummer in the whole world in general. Like, because video games is supposed to be a celebration, and seeing someone being so skillful, and you don't want to see, at the same time, you don't want to see someone using shady tactics to gain that mantle. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, I believe Billy Mitchell will fight to the day he dies to consider to reinstate these scores. But for now, he's tarnished, and for now, he's been erased from history, and his legacy is non-existent at the moment. But let's go into brighter stories, right? From Billy Mitchell, let's go to another high score, 10 out of 10. God of War has a Metacritic score of 95, 10 out of 10s from everywhere. God of War's reviews are crispy right now. I've been avoiding them all because I really want to see the game for myself. I've been avoiding everything in terms of trailers a little bit. I've been avoiding any kind of article, video reviews. So all my friends out there who are making video reviews, I will watch the reviews after I played the game through myself. But wow, God of War going from that complete 180 to going away from the whole hack and slash arcade adventure, quick time events, changing their entire engine was a huge payoff for Sony Santa Monica. So shout outs to Sony Santa Monica. Again, I'll be doing my best to get an early copy of it. Maybe I can stream it a little bit early. Stay tuned to my Twitter account for that kind of thing. God of War PlayStation 4, it looks like to be one of the top games ever reviewed from the PlayStation 4. Of course, The Last of Us Remastered has a high Metacritic of 95 as well, but that was a remaster of the PlayStation 3. So PlayStation 4's best game right now is God of War, according to Metacritic. And I know a lot of the studios really want a high Metacritic score because that's a way to judge, the critical acclaim of your game, and it's just an easy way to do it. But that's awesome, man. I'm really excited to get my hands on it. Let me know, comment down below. Let me know what you think about the reviews, and are you excited about it as well. Next story, A Way Out sold more than 2 weeks than EA apparently thought it'd sell in its total existence. This comes from Kotaku as well. Jason Schreier writes, quote, this morning developer Hazelight Studios announced that it sold 1 million copies of A Way Out, which is a noteworthy number, not just because it's big, but because it's more than EA thought it would sell in a lifetime, according to a marketing document that leaked last year. EA's forecast, at least when it made that plan, was A Way Out would sell 203,000 copies in the 2018 fiscal year, which ended March 31st. 8 days after the game came out, sold 894,000 copies total. So kudos again to the Hazelight Studios. Again, this is part of EA Originals, like small indie developer program that they have. That's awesome that A Way Out has that, and even the creator of A Way Out. So it means that since 1 million people have bought this game, essentially, then 2 million people have played it because this is a strictly co-op game. So that's awesome. Kudos to that. When I saw it at E3, my reaction was like, wow, this game looks awesome. I haven't got my hands on it yet. I've been looking for a partner trying to get this set in. I might play with Nick A30. I might play with my best friend B Magic. Just trying to find a set time like 8 hours or so to knock it out because I'm very excited about that. And that's going to wrap up all the video game news. I could go into a little bit of Fortnite news, but there's not really anything major that's happening in Fortnite right now to give you guys, or anything that else is happening along the video game stratosphere that interests me that I could speak intelligently on. But we're going to go ahead and head right into the movie world. This first article it's a doozy for those fans. Now, I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not a big fan of Mulan, the animated movie. I know, right? I get it. A lot of people loved it. That's why when you watch the previous podcast, I didn't let Mulan go very far in the Disney versus Pixar. You should definitely check that out. But let's go to this news story. Mulan live-action Disney reboot cast Rogue One star Donnie Yen. Yes, Donnie Yen is set to star opposite Liu Wei-Fi in Disney's live action of Mulan. Nikki Caro is directing, and Chris Bender, Jason Reed, and Jake Weiner are producing the movie. The film's release was recently pushed back by more than a year to 2020. The English language version of the original Mulan, 1998, features the voices of Ming Lang Win, Eddie Murphy, Miguel Ferrer, and B.D. Wong, while Jackie Chan voiced Chinese dubs of the movie. The animated film grossed $304 million worldwide, and that is kind of awesome that we're getting this. I know there's a lot of people who are like bummed out that Disney is basically cashing in on the live action readaptations. We had Beauty and the Beast, and now we're gonna get Mulan. We have the Jungle Book. Well, it's Jungle Book. It's a very fantastic movie, and of course later we're gonna get the Lion King. I, for one, am pretty down with it. Anyone that exposes these awesome stories to the new generation, and that's a grade A in my book. Like I said, I really enjoyed the Jungle Book. Really excited to see the Lion King live adaptation. I think Jon Favreau is directing that one as well. I really would like to see Little Mermaid, because knowing the CGI graphics and now and everything like that, I think the Little Mermaid will be really awesome. Speaking of remakes, Jason Clarke circles Paramount's Pet Sematary redo. Jason Clarke, who stars in the just released indie drama Chappaquiddick, is in talks to star in Pet Sematary, Paramount's redo of his 1989 horror pick based on Stephen King's 1983 novel. Deadline has confirmed the studio has already set an April 19, 2019 release date for this one. Kevin Costner and Dennis Wildmeyer, Sorry Eyes, are directing the pick, and Jeff Bucher, The Midnight Meat Train, is adapting about the Creed family that moves next door to the Pet Sematary. Clark would play the father, Louis Creed, played by Dale Midkiff in the original. Now, Pet Sematary, yo, that was a good horror movie. I just love the idea of it. It's so good. Now, the thing about Stephen King's movies is like they always fall apart in the third act, and like it gets really like weird for no reason. But Pet Sematary holds a special place in my heart. I thought it was creepy. The little kid was creepy. The Shadow, what was the cat's name? It was a gray, ugly cat after he got mangled, but that cat was scary, man. My wife and I will always have this running joke where the little kid has this really funny way of delivering this line where he's like, I want to play with you. And man, that kid with the scar. Anyway, I don't want to get into it too much, but man, it's a very gruesome movie, and it's a really cool to see this remade again. It reminds me of like the remakes of the anime Horrorville and all those sorts of movies. The interesting thing that I hope is that one thing is that Hollywood and horror films are really catching on right now, and they're becoming easy to make. Big blockbuster, like big box office draws. Like you had to Get Out made a whole bunch of cash. You had recently had what was it called, A Quiet Place, make a whole bunch of cash on a low budget. The thing about horror that always is awesome is that it doesn't take much to make, and it could still deliver high stakes, high emotion, high reaction. Like Paranormal Activity made a boatload of money. I mean, Blair Witch Project made a boatload of money. It was simple gimmicks. I always say the more simpler the better. The less CGI the better. The more practical the better. So hopefully Pet Sematary does not have a lot of CGI, and hopefully retains the creepy cat. Speaking of horror and movies, James McAvoy and Bill Hader in talks for It Chapter 2. With Jessica Chastain officially on board It Chapter 2, New Line has now begun to zero in on who will play the rest of the Losers Club, with James McAvoy and Bill Hader in talks to join the next installment. Sources tell Variety that McAvoy is in talks to play the role of Bill, who is played by Jaden LaBerre in the first pick, while Hayden is in talks to be the role of Richie, which is played by Ben Wolfhard in the last film. All as previously announced, Chastain will play Beverly. Director Andy Muschietti is back to direct, with Gary Dauberman penning the script. So awesome. I love the remake. I love the remake of It. It was so good. I loved it. The kids were fantastic. It felt like a blend of Stand By Me with a little bit of Stranger Things all rolled into one, and all that made an awesome movie. It was a great remake. I didn't really like the original. If you remember, it was a two-tape VCR, and I always never watched the second side with the adults because I felt like the pacing was bad, and It itself was like an odyssey of horror. Like, good Lord, those movies were so long, and Tim Curry did a fantastic job, and I'm very excited to see this again. It was so good. It was such a good movie. And the thing is, though, the only thing, like I said earlier, the CGI, the eyes really get to me. Like, Pennywise should be more practical. I feel like it was a little bit too CGI-ish. So I wish they would just go more practical. I hope this doesn't have the downfall like it did in the VCR tapes where the adults are kind of boring. Hopefully it jumps back and forth between the kids and adults, because the kids themselves, the kid actors, did a very awesome job. But the point is I'm trying to make is one of my favorite horror movies in the modern day age was The Conjuring, right? The Conjuring, oh, so good. And then they came back with The Conjuring 2, and they added more money to the budget, right? More budget mean more CGI, more tricky. It was too fancy for its own good. So hopefully it does not decide, oh, we have more budget, let's just waste it on the CGI. I wish they lean in on the practical effects. And now I get it, practical effects are hard to do, and they're hard to like. In terms of editing, that's why you see a lot of movies now use CGI blood splatter, so they don't have to constantly find new wardrobes that they have to do reshoots, so all that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. I digress. Last headline for the movie portion of the Checkpoint Amigos podcast is Avengers Infinity War pre-sold more tickets than the last 7 Marvel movies combined. The last 7 movies pre-sold tickets was outdone by the one Avengers Infinity War. Wow. It's insane. I cannot wait to watch it. I cannot wait to give you a podcast review. 10 years. I've been rewatching a lot of the movies lately. I watched Doctor Strange. Those are pretty cool. At first I read off Doctor Strange like I was meh. I'm trying to watch Ant-Man again. But yeah, I rewatched Doctor Strange. It's available on Netflix in the United States side. It was pretty good. But yeah, Infinity War, hype. All right, let's go down to sports. Not rare we talk about sports, but this one kind of hit close to home, being a Dallas Cowboys fan myself. Dez Bryant was released by the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go to the article. This is from Dez Bryant as he was talking to the NFL Network. I won't say any teams, but being in the division, that's a huge possibility. That's something that I want. In a late morning meeting that lasted approximately 20 minutes, Bryant was told that he would be released by owner and general manager Jerry Jones. The Cowboys did not offer Bryant a pay cut and did not designate him as a post-June 1 cut. He was set to make $12.5 million and count $16.5 million against the cap. With the move, the Dallas Cowboys will save $8.5 million against the cap. So, 8 years of being a Cowboy, Dez Bryant is gone. Dez Bryant has some awesome highlights. I like Dez Bryant as a wide receiver. Fortunately, the way the NFL goes, once you get knee injuries, foot injuries, all those kinds of things, nagging injuries will slow you down. His production kind of slowed down to 6 touchdowns this past year. That's the problem is it's too expensive, right? Bottom line, you just got too expensive. And it's interesting that the Cowboys did not offer a pay cut. Maybe they thought that if they offer a pay cut, he would turn it down, knowing that, for Dez to play with the pay cut over a pay cut contract, that will he produce the same way? I just think that the Cowboys offense is more Ezekiel Elliott driven. I think that, I still believe as a Cowboy fan that they let Romo go too soon. Romo could have played another year to get Dak Prescott another year underneath his belt, getting a little bit better, because Dak Prescott had a little setback year this past season. I believe that the line of the Cowboys really hurt Dak Prescott's progression, because the line itself was hurting. So it will be interesting to see what happens, how the Cowboys are going to resolve that with the receiver core. I think you need a big target like that. Dez really solved that problem down at the 20-yard line, red zone. I just feel like I don't know, it happens. Wide receivers, that I think Ezekiel Elliott will soon face the same thing. That wide receiver, running backs are a commodity that could go. Quarterbacks and offensive line are a pretty big deal these days in today's NFL. So we'll see what happens. Also, of course, the NBA playoff is in full swing. Boy, oh boy, the Spurs are not doing well right now. The game 1 just happened. Game 2 is tonight. I don't see the Spurs making out of that first round. And in other news of the Kawhi saga, Popovich in an interview said that you need to ask Kawhi and his group, because they say that he's not ready to go and Kawhi's on the bench. And he's not on the bench. That's the one thing I want to talk about. A friend of mine on Twitter, Andy Cortez, kind of said, he kind of called out Kawhi in a tweet, and he said, at least be on the bench. And I kind of agree with that. If you're hurt, and you can't play at least be on the bench supporting your team. And Kawhi hasn't been in the bench for months. Even if Kawhi came back, I don't think the team would want him back in a sense of like his teammates. It's just a bummer as a Spurs fan. It's such an odd season as a Spurs fan. Only having to play 9 games essentially, and then having this like big weight on your shoulders. It's just a complete bummer. We'll keep an eye on the NBA playoffs as it go along. The Cavaliers lost game 1 against the Pacers. Not worried about that. LeBron James can usually turn things around, but he does have a new squad that was just thrown together. The Sixers won. The Bucks and Celtics came down to overtime thriller. Raptors took care of business. And the thing is, the Rockets were a close game as well. I really think the Rockets are going to come out of the West. I hate to say that. The Rockets are going to come out of the West. They're going to beat the Warriors because I think the Rockets' firepower was just too strong for the Warriors. And I think out of the East, man, it's hard to pick against LeBron against the East. I think the Raptors comes out of the East. I think that's what's going to happen. Let's go to my favorite part of this whole show, which is the faces and heels portion, the wrestling portion of this wrestling. One thing I want to point out, one of the person says, there was a viewer comment, and again, I don't like shining light on toxicity, but I treat it like a weed in the garden. I want to go ahead and pull it out. Is that they said that a true pro wrestling fan does not watch WWE. Fortunately, with my schedule, I cannot keep up with all the other promotions like New Japan Pro Wrestling and even like Lucha Underground and of course Ring of Honor, all those kinds of things, or even Impact. I can't keep up with other promotions, so because WWE is easy to follow, easy to do, reviews on the pay-per-views and whatnot. I have to stick with the WWE, and I'm a big fan of wrestling since the 80s. But the one important thing is I don't have to prove my worth to anybody. So let's continue on with the WWE portion. Now, of course, WrestleMania 34 is in the books. If you want to know about that, I did a podcast about that previously. WrestleMania 34, I gave it like a B- in my heart. But the Raw after Mania. The Raw after Mania is always the biggest, probably maybe even bigger because there's so much shakeups and so much new storylines have developed. Some of my predictions did come to true. Braun Strowman did drop the Raw tag team belts. Of course, he wasn't going to wrestle with a 4th grader. They did drop it, so it's going to restart this whole tag team tournament, and Bray Wyatt and Broken Back Matt Hardy are together. I hope they win the belts because that's going to be an awesome collaboration. And there's rumors that Wyatt may turn heel. Even there's more rumors that he may run Insanity, which is an NXT faction that they may come up and he may run it. So a lot of rumors surrounding Bray Wyatt. I'm hoping something comes out of him because he's such an interesting character, but I think he just lost his sizzle. So I'm glad to see that they kept up the Hardy and Wyatt connection, so to speak. I hope they win the belts. And also, there was a lot of NXT call-ups during the Monday Night Raw. You had No Way Jose shows up. I dislike that they have. I like his samba gimmick. I like his dancing gimmick. It's good for him. He's such a huge guy as well. I just don't like him using the crowd because it reminds me of Adam Rose. And Adam Rose did not do so well. I mean, he was fun a little bit, but I just did not like the Rosebud thing and him coming out with a group. And you had No Way Jose come out with the conga line and didn't really work for me. Kind of fell flat. A lot of these debuts were squash matches because another debut call-up was Authors of Pain showed up. And I really wish, please, WWE, put the Authors of Pain with the Usos. They'll be an awesome faction together. You have the Usos just being chilled a little bit and the Authors of Pain being the muscle. That'd be amazing. Also, Ember Moon was called up, which is the former the NXT champion, was called up. She's awesome. I like her. She's very athletic and she's very agile, and she brings like kind of a lucha vibe to her. And her finish is an amazing finish to see, and will definitely bolster the Raw women's division, which is awesome. And speaking of the women's division, Paige retired. So for those of you who know, Paige had this major neck injury and she had to retire, and there was rumors that she may try to make a comeback, but she officially retired, and she had this very nice promo saying goodbye. But which is really cool, in SmackDown she's made the general manager because Daniel Bryan now is an active wrestler, so it's cool to see Paige still on TV. Another return is Samoa Joe returned. Samoa Joe is now going to feud with Roman Reigns. I mean, I get it. I like Samoa Joe. I don't know. I just feel like he's a lot of talk. You need to put a gold belt on him so Samoa Joe would be an awesome United States champion because he could actually be a fighting champion, because I love the challenge, the United States challenge, and Samoa Joe could work with almost anybody and he could give a good match. So Samoa Joe is back with a towel around his head, around his neck. Also is back as Brother Nero. Jeff Hardy is back. And I think Jeff Hardy might have a singles run here. When he'd be awesome as an intercontinental competitor. That'd be awesome to have to go up against Seth Rollins, because Jeff Hardy is so charismatic, and he's a great worker as well. And they had a nice backstage moment in the Raw. And also to wrap up the Raw segment of this, Bobby Lashley came back. Now, Bobby Lashley was a wrestler when I fell off from the WWE, so I'm not too familiar with him. But man, that guy is he's very big and athletic. But I'll keep an eye on him and watch him, because I'm very excited to see a lot of people are hyped about Bobby Lashley's return. And again, it was just when I fell out of wrestling and I did not know. And now on SmackDown side of things, you had a couple more interesting things. Interesting enough, Carmella cashed in on Charlotte. So Charlotte got essentially just destroyed by the Iconics. Charlotte was making a promo thanking everybody for a WrestleMania moment when she defeated Asuka. The Iconics came out, which is Peyton Royce. Oh, I forget the other wrestler's name. Peyton Royce and this other Australian wrestler came up, and they're basically in the NXT call-up, and they just pummeled her. And out comes Carmella with the longest cash-in attempt of all time. I think they were trying to build up, like, maybe that Charlotte will recover from the beating because the referee was taking so long, not understanding the rules. I feel like every referee should understand how a cash-in works. So Carmella cashes in, so we're going to start the whole new Carmella reign as a SmackDown Women's Champion. I like Carmella, had a lot of charisma. She is very a comedic wrestler. I want her to be more slimy, kind of like The Miz in terms of heel talk and all those kinds of things. Other thing that kind of came out in SmackDown itself was that the Greatest Royal Rumble is coming out in April 27th, which is this big 50-man Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, and also is going to be a lot of belts on the line. Brock Lesnar is going to wrestle Roman Reigns out there, and as well is Jinder Mahal, who's a new United States champion, is going to wrestle Randy Orton. They determined the number one contender for that championship, and it's going to happen at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Also, the Usos defeated the New Day to be the contender against the Bludgeon Brothers at the Greatest Royal Rumble. So maybe this is the thing, like, I don't like them sacrificing WrestleMania for Raw and SmackDown. Like, let WrestleMania have those awesome moments, those awesome swerves, those new additions. And it feels like now they're sacrificing a lot for the Greatest Royal Rumble, which is understandable because they're trying to drive a lot of people to the network, because you could only watch it on the network, and it's at like 9 a.m. Pacific time that it's going to happen. So, interesting enough, that wraps up the Faces and Heels portion of the podcast. Now, for your coming soon, your newest releases that are coming out, of course, God of War is coming out this Friday. God of War released on the PlayStation 4. Woo, it's going to be the story of God of War, Kratos and his son, and I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to leave any spoilers at that, so strap in, because that's a high Metacritic 95. Also coming soon is Super Troopers 2 is coming out on 4/20, which of course is the follow-up to the cult classic Super Troopers. I love the Super Troopers. They're quite hilarious. I love, was it Broken Lizard Productions? They do some really cozy stuff. I've heard it's more of the same, but it's still a welcome addition. And I would like to introduce a new segment to the podcast. Called My Bad. My Bad and Corrections. I forgot to mention Rampage. Did I forget to Rampage? I don't even remember. These days go by. If I forgot to mention Rampage, my bad. But Rampage is currently out as well, and it's currently on top of the box office. It Silence, A Quiet Place, of course, the star power of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson continues on. And I still need to see Jumanji. I want to find a way to see Jumanji soon. I need to see that movie. But that wraps up this entire Checkpoint Amigos show. I'd like to thank you guys for checking in and watching, and I appreciate you all more while, and thank you for the support. If you'd like to get the podcast early, go to patreon.com/SanchoWest and put in that $1. $1 a month goes a long way. I appreciate, guys, your time, and as always, peace. Have a good day. Adios.